Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Show to V with Mike G, the show of life, the show of love, the show of equality. And today, we're going to be talking about a poem called Litany by Billy Collins. Today's guest is Joe Eifler, one of the principal operators of Tipsy Texan. Tipsy Texan, if you didn't know, has published a book, has taught classes, has served you drinks, and has helped you understand and demystified many of the cocktails that are commonplace today. It's a really wonderful group, and I'm looking forward to see what they do next. Joe kind of talks about where the idea came from and where the idea is going. But I think most importantly, one of the things about this conversation I think probably resonates the most is, understanding Joe as a gay man who had to come out to a Catholic family, but not only a Catholic family, but a Catholic family in Texas. This is kind of an uphill struggle for a lot of people, and it's nice to hear the contrast he and David have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and give a listen to my interview with Joe Eifler.
A lot of things to clean up.
Still? Or just the drunken dismay that you call. You actually weren't that drunk, but I'm sure a lot of people were.
Yeah,
that takes some cleaning up sometimes with the family.
So someone posted a picture of us doing karaoke, and they're like, were they sober at their own wedding? I'm like, oh, and the chefs, you don't really have time to do much. No,
you can't. It's task, right?
So I had a drink every now and then, I was holding, but it invariably was sat down somewhere. And
everybody stops you to congratulate you.
You don't get to spend quality time with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird
It is a weird
thing.
Does it feel any different now?
Not as such.
Yeah.
We've been together 10 years.
Right. That's kind of what
actually, I didn't know.
You were getting married?
No. I didn't know I was getting married. But standing up there, I didn't think I would struggle as much with the vows as I did.
You were beating yourself up about being teary-eyed about it. Was it just that you weren't anticipating of being so moved by the moment, or that you just don't? You're one of those.
No, I think it was moved by the moment.
Did you not want to be, or you just didn't think you were?
I just wasn't. I didn't. Anticipate it, I was like, I'm just gonna plow right through this, no problem. And then as soon as the first 5 words, I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna make this.
Was it looking at David? Was it in the moment? Was it just this culmination of all the things that kind of drove you to? I
think it was the whole thing. Phil had just read the poem,
right, which is a great poem.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And so we didn't know what he would read. That was part of the thing. Is like, you pick it.
So you have no idea how it's gonna keep you on your toes. That particular poem.
Yeah, it was.
It's funny, Jessica and I were talking about that poem actually, Litany, right? Billy Collins.
Right? Yeah.
Collins. I think there's a really important point in there, and that is that sometimes we feel like we have to be everything for each other, the people that we love, But in actuality, the reason that it works is because we're not everything to each other. We're the things that we're good at that we're not personally good at in other ways. So I'm not a good communicator, let's say, but you're a great communicator. And so that's what makes it work. You can't be everything to everybody, but the things that you're great at is what makes you love somebody.
Right. And a lot of those things are what brought you together.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, I think, fall into the trap of trying to change themselves because maybe if I did this, it'd be, so.
To be everything, right? Well, I want to be, how many times have you heard someone say, I want to be everything to this person? I've heard that so many times, and it's like, that's just
sounds
be
so
yourself.
Cheesy.
Yeah, it does, right?
Really
and maybe
cheesy.
It was in a Cinemax movie from the early 90s. I can't recall now, but it is one of those things.
Everything to you.
I'll be your everything. Yeah, no, that is definitely a song lyric. I'll be your everything. I know.
That is definitely a song lyric,
yes. It has to be, yeah. So did you guys...
It's Boys to Men.
It's not. It is Boys to Men.
No, it's not.
Is it All for One? That was one, right? That was a band. And then
what was All for One?
Joe to See.
Wait, what did All for One sing?
Am I thinking? No. I'll Make Love to You is
That's Boyz II Men.
Oh no, and I swear. By the
moon. Who's that?
Isn't that
Oh, is it?
Is that what they're called? Or am I thinking of some kind of Nickelodeon show that had
All for One sounds like a boy band. I don't know.
It is. It had to have been a boy band.
I forget about that song.
The Zack Attack. They were good, right?
I don't know who that is.
For Saved by the Bell, the fictional band.
God.
I know, but sometimes I get it mixed up. I'm getting older now, you know?
Nope.
I know. It's not bad. But that was a great song.
I'll Make Love, or
that one, and I Swear.
By the moon and the stars in the sky.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's not, well, all right.
I always forget about half those songs from
the early 90s.
Uh-huh.
Why do you forget? I forget.
As soon as I hear them, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. You know, especially when you're doing karaoke, you're like,
yes.
Shit, why can't I think of any of these things?
Oh, and Vogue, that's one that's
never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
Never gonna get it, never go. One of the best a cappella songs ever.
Uh-huh.
Great, right?
Wait. A group of girls did that at the holiday party last year.
Did they really?
I feel like Jessica Sanders and somebody did it.
No shit.
I think so.
How'd it turn out?
Awesome. Well, yeah.
Awesome.
Jessica pretty much always brings her A game to karaoke.
Great,
so
I'm actually really looking. Not like it's a surprise. I play it off like it's not a great, like not the best event of USBG the year, but I play it off like, oh no, yeah, I'm looking forward to that this year. Fuck yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be fun.
Gonna be great again. I got to sing Pinkerton. Sorry, I got to sing a Weezer song from Pinkerton with Mike Sanders and Jessica.
Oh, really? What y'all sing?
We sang El Scorcho.
Oh, that's right.
That was, yeah, it was great.
I think I remember y'all babbling about it before.
Yeah. And then Lydia and I said some Beatles song, I think. Yeah, no, it's always Beatles because we know the interplay of the harmonies and stuff, you know. So
you know that catalog.
Yeah, not so bad. It's not a bad catalog to know.
No.
So week out. You feel, 10 years is obviously a really long time.
Yeah.
Does it feel somehow, do you hold your head up higher or something? Like you're recognized by the state, the federal government, like all of these great things that, I know you guys got your license, a couple weeks ago or whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's got to be something that feels great about that.
It is. I would say the first few days afterward, we were both off Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And just kind of lazily kind of lounging around and hanging out. I'm just like, yeah, we're married. I'm like, do we call each other husbands? Do we still call each other partners?
Yeah, what do you do? What's the best? Tell me what the best word is.
I don't know. It's
mates.
Hey, mate. Some people say husband. They'll just like, oh, your husband.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because it has a lot of baggage with husband.
Sure.
Growing up Catholic.
Oh, dude.
There's a lot of husband-wife marriage is like a big how does this fit sort of thing. So I haven't settled on any one thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he has.
Yeah.
His funny HR at his company sent him a note. They're like, congratulations on your marriage. Let me know when you're ready to put your wife on your insurance or your bride and blah, blah, blah. He just was like, haha. And his boss was copying. And then he got email about 10 minutes later. He's like, congratulations. Let me know when you want to put your husband on your insurance.
But think about that. Think about how...
Well, people's natural, when you say you're married, is...
Absolutely. But think about what that does to the organization to make them think about it differently.
Yeah.
That event single-handed, if you even think about it, like, because he's working for Patron, right?
Yeah.
To think about maybe that's never come up.
Yeah, that's what I asked him. When that came, I was like, maybe you're the first gay person that works for Patron.
Changing the organization.
Right.
I mean, you guys together are kind of changing the dynamic of how people feel about that. And how do you feel about it? Like, overall, do you think the nation's kind of becoming warmer to the concept of two men getting married? Or do you think it's still pretty like... I
think it's a very divisive issue still.
Yeah.
And I think it was interesting. I was reading an article about the ordinance in Houston.
Yeah. What's the fresh memory on that?
It is a non-discrimination ordinance against transgender and various other things.
Yeah.
Or they're updating the ordinance, basically.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of pushback against it. And one of the comments in the article was, well, because the Supreme Court has now legalized same-sex marriage, now they're latching on to other things. They're focusing their energies on something else because they feel like they've lost that battle.
I see.
So it's like, well, screw this. There's going to be guys going to women's restroom and assaulting women. I'm like, I don't really think that's how that works,
happens.
buddy.
Yeah.
He might be like, I wish I had that.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like we're in a narrative of people being against the people? Like, because it's kind of like left versus right. It's just, it seems like we're talking in platitudes, and there's a lot of other conversations in which people are reasonable coming into the center and all that stuff. But like, why was it ever an issue in the first place that people couldn't deal with 2 men, 2 women getting married? Like, it didn't seem like a big deal to me ever.
Right.
I mean, my mom grew up in San Fran and stuff, and so maybe that's what it was, but it just never felt like, oh, this is a problem. It's like, you guys love each other. Well, fucking go make yourselves miserable. I could give a shit less,
Well, I think that changed a lot. Marriage in the many or hundreds of years, thousands of years ago, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Was
The
a contract.
Catholic
It's just a
sense.
contract until the church got a hold of it, and then it became a sacrament. The church was never involved in marriage per se.
Yeah.
It was just a civil union, as I understand it. The church gets involved, and then it becomes a sacrament, and you get kind of all those things around it. From a religious perspective,
Right.
I struggled with it. I grew up Catholic,
right? Okay.
And I was just kind of like, I don't know. I never really thought much about it, but as the courts and things were moving along, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I mean, I love David.
Yeah.
He's the love of my life. We love, being around one another. And so I had a tough time with that. And so I had a tough time with it such that I didn't tell my parents in time for them to be able to be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's why my parents weren't there, because they were out of the country. I told them prior to them leaving, but all the things were in motion.
But it's not a surprise to them that you and David had been together for a while, right?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, they've known for
yeah, I mean, yeah. No,
was that originally a hard conversation? I mean, because you're saying you grew up Catholic, right?
Yep.
In the Catholic Church. Where did you grow up? In Texas?
I grew up in Dallas.
Oh,
I mean,
Dallas.
I started first grade in Texas.
Oh, okay.
We moved around when I was a kid, born in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
But I've been
for the most
Texas.
part,
Yep.
Texas is your home.
Yep.
I mean, I moved around a lot too, and I had different kinds of reasons to feel out of place and like try to understand who I was. Kind of moving through like 3 or 4 times in middle school and high school and all that. But so Dallas, how was that being in the school system and stuff? I mean, is it a pretty okay place?
Oh yeah, I mean, I went to public school up until high school.
Yeah.
And then I went to Jesuit, which is the college prep.
Okay.
In Dallas.
Yeah.
Like unlike David was open early. He's
like
fairly young.
Teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really come out. I guess a few people in Dallas prior to me moving,
right?
Or people suspect or whatever, and until Dave and I, to my family, until Dave and I were together for a year.
Oh wow!
And then I went up. It was a Thanksgiving. I think it was a Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It was whatever it was. It was some holiday where my sisters had screwed up and they were both gone.
Oh no!
Okay. So it was just mom, dad, and I.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what's good? What right time is there?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go back early.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, why? I'm like, I just need to get home, And I drove off and I turned around and I came back. Like, what's going on? I kind of told them.
Yeah.
And my mom has gay siblings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Like sisters or brothers?
A sister and a brother.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
And so, she's like, oh my gosh, like, how long have you known? I'm like, well, I've actually known since 4th grade.
Did they feel out of the loop a little bit at that point, or?
I mean, Dad was not happy. I mean, at Christmas I came back and the girls were also not there, so it's just the 2 of us. So it was a rough. I would say it was a rough coming out.
Right.
But a lot of that was coming from the standpoint of the church and teachings and your soul and all those types of things, and I totally understood that, but.
It doesn't change who you are.
That's right.
Right? You can't change who you are just because something says you shouldn't be that way,
That's right. And this is the person whom I've fallen in love with.
Yeah. And man, love is one of those things too. Like, no one's going to tell you otherwise.
And so that next Thanksgiving, which would have been our second, like that Dave and I were together,
right.
I was like, we're coming. He's coming. I'm not doing another holiday away, apart. He's coming. So he came. I remember Dad, David, and I were popping the turkey in the fryer. And Dad's sitting there, and I'm sitting there, and David's standing there, and Dad looks around. He looks at his watch, and he goes, "So is it too late for a martini?" And David goes, "No, sir, it's not," and runs inside and whips up martinis. But, a lot of our nieces and nephews, of which we have 11, no different. They don't.
Yeah. Well, they don't. But perhaps this is the opportunity for them to be exposed to what is a very positive and loving couple that would change their mind about
It's a generational thing. So when my sister, who has she has 7 kids.
Jesus. Sorry, Jesus.
They went parents' weekend to their oldest kid's college, and they sat down like, well, we have something we need to talk about. Uncle Joe and David are going to get married. And Michael's like, so, can I go?
Amazing.
And they're like, did you know he was gay? They're like, he's like, duh.
Oh,
David's been coming around for what, like 3 years? And they're like, well, try 10. He's like, 10? Well, whatever. Can I go?
Let's go.
And so it allocates. So then they move down like to the next 2. And they're like, duh, And like, well, how do you know? They're like, one of them was like, Facebook, duh. So as they move, she's just telling the stories as she moves down the line,
7 kids,
the younger ones, the one of the youngest boy, he was kind of like, what? I don't understand. He was kind of like, well, I don't know. But he has no different. I mean, David has always been around in his life.
So it's to him, it's like, well,
he just
cool,
doesn't get
whatever,
it. He's
man.
like, whatever.
Yeah, it's not different. It's not atypical. It's just 2 people.
Right.
They're hanging out. They love each other.
Right.
It's positive.
Right.
I mean, that's actually a really wonderful harbinger of the future, I hope.
I think so.
Even in Texas. Because Texas is, God, why were we the last ones or close to the last to even acknowledge that? Why do we keep holding out, It's such a weird thing because we're in Austin, so we're kind of insulated.
Yeah.
But even when some of the states in the South are like, all right, fine,
right.
We'll recognize it. I mean, how do you feel about what is essentially kind of this incongruence with being a gay man in a marriage in fucking Texas where they don't like it. They don't like it one bit. Greg Abbott would take that away,
Well, I sometimes think that many of the politicians believe 50% of the things that come out of their mouths. I suspect.
It's fair. That's definitely fair.
And I think what we're seeing today, and it's, many people are like, this is a Christian nation and all these types of things, and the founding fathers. I'm like, no. Everyone's forgetting we're a secular nation.
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
a secular government. That's how we were. We were founded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
It is not that God should be in the classroom and in the government the church. I mean, I don't mean God. I mean the church.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
the entity of the church.
Right.
Isn't supposed to be meddling.
No.
You can have your faith, and that can guide your decisions and your actions. But
it doesn't frame legislation.
It is not. That's right.
Yeah.
It is not framing up laws, and people are, they talk about activist judges and all of these types of things. Like, no, the courts are there for this purpose.
Absolutely.
They're there to protect us from ourselves, really.
Yes.
That's what they're really doing.
Right.
You can't just decide to like, oh, that's not discrimination. It is discrimination.
Just because you think it's not discrimination.
Yeah.
It's so weird. When I was in middle school, let's say, so mid 90s, and I think we're roughly the same age. You might be a couple years old. I'm 35 now.
No, I'm 42.
You look like you're 31. So stop making me feel bad, and with all this gray hair. But I remember Nick at Night premiered. And I would watch My Three Sons, Donna Reed, Dobie Gillis, all these old ass shows, by the way, that my parents knew that I didn't really know.
Sure,
I was like, oh man, time really seemed different. And for some reason, I feel like what modern politics are, and this is not a political conversation, it's merely just to frame where people are coming from.
Right.
Modern politics, at least for certain people on certain sides, are the Donna Reed show and Leave It to Beaver. And I love Leave It to Beaver still to this day. But it is about the woman being in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. The man goes to work 9 to 5, comes home to a nice crisp martini, and when the kids mouth off, he whacks them, sends them to bed. I mean, that's how simple TV made it, and I think that that's the idyllic situation for so many people. And to change that dynamic, oh, the woman's at work, she's working. Wait, she doesn't have a husband? Oh, what? This is all fucked up. This nation's gone to shit. It's like, when in reality, it's never even been like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so strange to see it, and I am so, one, I'm privileged to have been invited to the wedding, but two, I'm so looking forward to love dominating and love persevering above everything else. Because you and David, that's not an issue of two men getting married. That's an issue of love resonating higher than anything else. I'm not trying to sing it, as I mentioned earlier in another podcast. I'm not being Neil Diamond-esque.
Sure, yeah.
You know, but it's a very inspirational moment. And you guys being who you are individually and then together, that's powerful. That resonates, and that encourages people to follow in your footsteps and not feel like Texas can keep them down, so to speak, you know? So when's the honeymoon? I know we talked about that a little bit.
We're thinking like Thanksgiving and the week after.
Yeah.
We just haven't really decided where.
It's hard because you guys are both really busy.
Well, we had talked about New Orleans, but like we can't spend that long in New Orleans. But then we started thinking, well, what if we just go multiple places?
Greedy.
Then we're like, we've never been to the Mid-Atlantic and spending time in the Mid-Atlantic. We could go over there and just tootle around. So we haven't really figured it out.
It's hard, right? When you're what one might call a working professional.
Yeah.
Where you guys are both traveling. You're both doing events. It's really hard to kind of sit down and coordinate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that ever pose a difficulty in the relationship itself? Like that you guys are so busy you don't make time for each other?
Well, I think with David starting his new role, adjusting to his travel schedule has been tough because he spends a lot of time on the road.
Yeah, I can hardly catch him either. Like just texting stuff. You know?
Sure. I was telling someone a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm not really 100% sure where he is, and that's already or only 5 or 6 months in. I'm like, I'm not really sure what city he went to.
Yeah. It's bound to be cool. It's bound to have a bar.
Yeah.
But where? I don't know.
So it's funny today, or it's this weekend, or as well, he was home. He's like, oh, I really wish when I came home there'd be, vegetables and stuff in the fridge, like you would stock up and whatever. There's never really any food here. I'm like, I don't know, I don't really eat much when you're gone. I sort of graze and stuff. And so then he posts on Facebook today, and this picture of some gnarly ass meatball mess,
I saw it.
which looked amazing.
God, it looked amazing.
Which said first lunch. And so I called him. I was like, hey, well, how's it going? So is the reason you want me to like stock up on all this healthy stuff because you're eating complete crap on the road?
All the time on the road, yeah.
You can make a better choice. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's a sidebar.
No, but that's really an important point. Michael Sanders, was talking about that.
Yeah.
Being on the road, whether you're in a band or whether you're a brand ambassador, whatever you want to call it, like you have to make good choices.
You have to make those decisions.
You do, because you're going to be drinking, and you can limit that, yes.
Sure.
But you have to make the right food choices. Yep. And that is something I think that it's hard to learn. And the only way you learn is 30 pounds later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's bound to be something. You seem quite healthy, at least like dedicated to being fit. As he rolls his eyes.
Maybe
well, maybe you have
blessed
good
to be
genes.
genetically skinny.
But you take time out, like, and make sure that you're focusing on being healthy and relaxing and these kinds of things.
I used to do it more, I think.
Yeah.
I used to be an avid runner.
Oh, really?
I don't do much running anymore.
Just getting too busy.
That's a lame excuse. Anyone can say they're too busy.
I am not pointing fingers. I promise you.
I just don't make the time for it.
Yeah.
And I should. Also for me and the dog.
I'm sure he'd like
Jigger
it.
could benefit from a little running. I have to get myself into that mindset of eating healthily, honestly.
It is it's a habit, man.
I'm a natural graze. I just graze for the most part. If I'm left to my own devices, I don't really eat meals per se.
Right.
I just kind of get a little hungry and I eat a little something and then I move on.
Yeah.
And that's how my natural eating has.
But that's probably why you can keep, of a normal weight, right? And kind of lean, because I think that's one of the things too, is just, you pick things up when you're hungry and you don't just gorge yourself once a day. It ends up being worse, But it's an interesting thing is I think it's really hard to balance. You find that I'm sure you're around alcohol a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And is it hard to kind of not say no, but maybe moderate? Although I am enabling you right now to drink mezcal.
No, I don't think that's hard.
No.
Mm-mm.
Good. Well, that's great because I think it becomes an issue with some people and kind of
I think, I had an alcoholic grandfather. Excuse me. And other family members who have had troubles with alcohol.
Yeah.
I still think in the back of my mind that's always,
Looming,
me and my siblings have always been kind of mindful and watch out. And I don't think it's something I consciously think about, but it never is, boy, I need a drink right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's not over or something, I mean, a lot of people look at that bar,
vast bar you guys have,
and they're like, God, you drink every day? We're like, no, actually.
Here's the logical thing, because Lydia's dad saw the bar we have.
Yep.
He said, God, is he an alcoholic? And I said, no, if I was an alcoholic, there would be no bar.
That's right. Yeah.
It'd be gone. It'd be totally done,
You wouldn't keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, why would I keep it? But there's something comforting about having a nice bar. There's something social about that.
Sure,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, like to your point, if people are over, or interviewing in my room upstairs, that I can share a bottle.
Yeah, and it's fun. Different people like different things and are into different things. So, and having kind of a deep well of specific things, like a lot of different bourbons to try, or a lot of different mezcals to try, and things like that. It's just fun to
it's
experience those things together.
To me.
So what?
Almost academic. Where it's
sure.
like you can A/B, you can taste a particular expression or some. I consider the mezcaleros. One, the brand, but two, the guys making it. That it's interesting to see someone's way of painting a varietal in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you asked Van Gogh to paint a city skyline versus Monet versus Picasso. Obviously it's the same skyline, but it's going to be interpreted three completely different ways. So that's where I guess for the bourbon, I've got multiple bourbons of the same type and things. It's wonderful just to see the minute differences, because it's all about that craftsmanship and how people impart their perspectives.
Yep.
Not to make it too artistic, because sometimes bourbon is just bourbon, right?
Yeah.
But so it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you recently transitioned. So you guys, or David, however you want to phrase it, built a wonderful brand out of Tipsy Texan. And that started with classes.
It started with a blog.
And when did the blog start, roughly?
I think 2007.
2007.
I think that's right.
And when did that get parlayed into the classes?
Fairly quickly.
Pretty quick.
Maybe in 2009.
Yeah. So it was something. Did you see kind of the rise and the transformation of the brand, Tipsy Texan?
Yeah, where we kind of started with it was being involved in a lot of charity thing. We were heavily involved with Edible Austin when it first started from the beginning.
Was it national then, or was it just local then? Because I've got so many different chains of it now.
Edible Communities was already out there.
Okay, gotcha.
Ojai in California was the very first one, I think, and then Manhattan was the second one. Excuse me. I do believe that Austin is still the largest.
Oh, really?
In terms of its publication, like how big it is.
Right. Yeah, I've worked with them a couple times. Really cool.
And we were involved a lot with the museum and various other
here?
Yeah. And various other things in the community that we just liked doing cocktails. We were so intrigued by the history and all of these the social aspects of cocktails that we didn't know about until I had found Craft of the Cocktail by Dale DeGroff, and that's what kind of started us down that path. It was laid out very much like a study guide in a way, I guess.
Really? Okay.
It's like a textbook.
Yeah.
And so we just started to look through the book, and we started at his place and my place. We started buy ingredients, and one of us would go to the other place. I was like, "Have you tried this thing?"
Yeah.
So every night we'd be trying something new.
Was it hard to find stuff back
sure.
then?
It was. Yeah, there were many things where can't make that, don't even know what that is, can't find it.
What about now?
Most things.
It's out there now, right? So we're talking a 6-year transformation in the industry in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So you take this kind of love. I imagine it's felt like a puzzle too, right? like these flavors and kind of trying to balance them out, understanding where they came from.
Mhm.
Was there a drink that you particularly, I mean, sometimes we're exposed to these things, we get sort of a preference. Was there something that you found particularly delicious or that you liked to make or explore? I mean, it's all delicious, of course.
We explored a lot of old fashions.
Oh, really?
And I remember going to, I forget which liquor store, but like, oh, look, there's Sazerac 18. Boom. I'll just grab that. It was on the shelf, and I didn't know any. So we were like, we're going to make great cocktails with this. So we were making Manhattans and old fashions and all that stuff. And it's like, these are so amazing. And now today you can't even get, 18
you got to wait in line
Yeah.
to just try to get it. And you guys are just tossing it. Yeah, it's a great.
I think an original, a simple daiquiri was kind of a revelation.
Yeah. It is the Beatles, I think.
Huh?
It's where everything starts. Maybe not historically and chronologically,
sure,
but the concept of a 3-note song or a 3-chord song, that is a fundamental piece of everything art-based, I think, because sweet citrus booze, right?
Yep.
And so what is it about the daiquiri that you particularly like? The simplicity of it?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just, the way that you can play with the different rum, it allowed the other two components are just sitting there.
Right, right.
I mean, although you can play with different sugars.
Yeah. But it's a marginal in comparison to the difference the rum makes.
Right. And so that is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And it's just, like you said, it's just so simple. Mm-hmm. It doesn't hide anything. It's not trying to be precious.
Right. Cute. Nuance. It's not trying to be bold. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's just a gorgeous cocktail.
Michael Phillips, he said it was a metaphor, like the acoustic set. It's the acoustic set. Once you can do the song simple, bare bones, then go ahead and branch off. Okay. That is the essence of cocktails right there.
It makes me think of, we had a client and I ran into one of the staff recently. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, I just need to learn how to make cocktails like you guys, and I want to make things. In my head, I'm like, man, this is like the Japanese say about us and our cocktails. Like these guys never want to learn like the foundation and the classics. They just want to go off and create things.
Yeah,
and it is difficult to do that if you don't have the experience in understanding those basic classic cocktails and the foundation and how various notes play with each other.
Right.
And once you have those kind of recipes, those foundational things in your head, then you can start to think of like how flavor and culinary and all that can play into it, and you can start to spread out.
Yeah.
But I do think we do tend to see a lot of people who just will go willy-nilly into creating things,
right, without really understanding why they're doing it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Yeah, it's cool to have a tarragon infused simple syrup, right?
Yeah.
But why are you doing it? And if you know why, that's the key between an incredible cocktail and a cocktail that feels ill-conceived.
I think that's a compound syrup. It's not a simple syrup anymore.
See? There you go. I don't even know. I just know how to make it, but I wouldn't dare put it in a cocktail. Actually, no, I kind of like tarragon.
Tarragon's delicious.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting concept, though. Is there other kinds of syrup? So there's a simple compound. Just a brief tangent. A polygonal syrup.
There probably are.
Yeah. Does it matter? Like, do you personally like to get that complicated and convoluted, or do you like to keep it simple? Are you a 3-chord guy, or are you like a 7-chord guy?
No. It depends. We'll play around sometimes. It depends. It depends on who the audience is going to be.
Yeah.
Often, a lot of times when we would do various events and there were multiple either bars or things there,
right?
And it was this is maybe early on, but a consumer event, we would tend to be relatively simple.
Right. You want to play to the masses in a sense,
right?
Right. Yeah.
And invariably,
the hits.
Some of our friends
Joe
are making these very complicated, beautiful cocktails, just beautiful. But the audience didn't quite get it. They were making a cocktail for us, for our friends, our group, that group. And so I think that is changing,
Yeah.
as the consumer's palate changes and they understand more and they're calling, you look at kids in college now calling for Manhattans, and things like that, that we would have never even known what that is, except I knew my dad made one every once in a while.
Yeah. But it's a great point. Like, you want to watch, let's think of a simple movie here. You want to watch Star Wars, not Lost Highway. Now, of course, I always do this film thing, but like Spielberg, simple, straightforward. He plays to his audience, and then Lynch, who plays to his interferers, right?
Yeah.
Like Eraserhead or Blue Velvet. That's a different deal, you know. But I think you're right. The audience eventually does come around.
Mm-hmm.
It took Lynch at least like 3 or 4 hits before he got Blue Velvet and kind of made sense. But you think it is changing. You think people are getting more adventurous.
Who did Mulholland Drive?
That's Finch or David Lynch as well.
Friggin' Mulholland Drive.
I know, dude. I can't even follow it still.
I literally stood up at the end of that movie and I was like, what the hell? I'm not lying. I stood up in the theater. I was just like, what the hell?
I don't even want my money back, but someone's got to answer some questions.
What just happened? Yeah, I just need to know.
Somebody tell me.
Who's a little old couple? Why are they coming out of a paper sack? What the fuck is going on? Why did they just flip characters? I don't even know what's going on here.
Dude, that is... God, there should be some kind of support group for David Lynch film viewers, because we all have questions.
There probably is one. We're just not part of it.
Probably so.
Yeah, it's underground. It's really
Oh,
underground.
dude, it's got to be underground. There's no other way. Like Eraserhead, still. I remember I watched it when I was like 4 or 5. My mom had a group of people over and we watched it in the VCR. I'm like,
I don't think you were supposed to watch that.
I think I was peeking in from where I got up out of bed. But anyway, even from that point, it's like, yeah, I don't know what the hell he's thinking. I still don't know what he's thinking. But do you think that so here's a good example. So consumer behaviors are kind of changing. This is absolutely manifested by the increase in gins on the market, for example. Like, when would you have seen 20 gins on the shelf before? This is the first time we see that. So does that make you excited that people are really, really becoming more open to new things with cocktails?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and spirits. I mean,
spirits in general. Yeah,
just spirits in general. There's so many more things available.
Yeah.
Well, and just in Texas,
right.
We have so much more available now than we did.
It's crazy.
Like
we're
said,
actually
like
a feasible market now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll give us special stuff,
mm-hmm.
right? Did we get the Chinar 70 proof yet?
I don't know.
Texas. I keep seeing.
I have a tiny sample at home.
How is it?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just instead of being 60, it's 70.
It
wasn't very
60?
high. I don't know how high it was before. It wasn't very high proof.
Yeah.
Before something like that.
It's noticeably different.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
More textured, more flavor, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Less of the syrupy sweet.
Good. So a little bit smoothed out.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, speaking of smoothed out, we'll diverge for just a moment. So you have picked the Mescalero number 8, which
mm-hmm.
is a nice blend of Sierra Negra and Tepestate. I don't know the ratio on this particular one, but it has some nice sweetness to it. And something that I think you might notice, I just recently noticed, there's a bit of a hue in the distillate in the bottle.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that yellow?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think that's wonderful that it's still that rustic and still that way in the bottle. And how do you feel about the Mescalero series, those blends just in general?
I enjoy them. We don't get them all.
Yeah.
Like the first one I ever had was 8.
Uh-huh.
And that may very well have been the first mezcal I had. To be honest.
No kidding.
It may have been that or Oaxaca.
Yeah. Which Oaxaca? The Espadín or just whatever?
I think I tried the whole lineup at one time.
Oh, cool.
Because we used to do a lot of things with Kenny.
Yeah. Is there something about mezcal seems to be this, not mistress, but this muse for a lot of people in
mm-hmm.
the industry. I mean, myself included. That there's something so complex yet simple about it and pure. What was your impression of mezcal? Did it put you off at first, or did you instantly get it?
I don't remember being put off by it.
Mm-hmm.
We were already avid tequila drinkers. All different types of. We'd always buy if we saw a tequila we didn't have.
Yeah.
Like we gotta try that and see
Right.
what it's like. And I really think it's because of Kenny Flores that we even became aware.
Yeah.
In depth and started to really dive into it. And then as the education program and things built, Tipsy Tech and all that built out,
Right.
a lot of that kind of came in all at the same time.
How do you feel about it becoming an increasing force in the portfolio of agave spirits, something that people are really, really getting into? Do you think that's dangerous or a good thing?
I'm concerned about it.
Yeah.
Because it's such a unique spirit, and it's comes from a plant that takes so long to mature.
Right.
Some of them 30 years.
Yes. This one specifically, Tepestate, over 20 years.
And I think that popularity is a problem, especially when it's a popularity in the American consumer, because we tend to be voracious consumers. When the Gen Pop decides that, holy cow, look at all these people are drinking mezcal, let's do it. And that is just going to stress what is an amazing export from our neighbor to the south, Mexico.
Right.
And it's an indigenous, beautiful thing that they do, along with all of their agave spirits, Sotols and everything else. Raicillas and and so I have a concern there. And and I think that it should be priced like it's precious.
Yeah. Well, it somewhat is.
Somewhat is.
I think that
I've heard people complain about
the pricing. Although it's a representation of the scarcity for one.
It's a rare thing, and not everyone should be able to drink a rare thing.
Right.
And if you can find it and get it, then you should have to pay for that and cherish it and enjoy it, and when it's gone, and you'll still remember. I mean, you'll still, I nursed that first. I think we're on our second bottle of this one, perhaps.
Oh, really? Okay.
It may still be the first. I don't know. I can't remember. But I just nurse, and I found those two, and I was so excited because I hadn't seen it in years.
Yeah.
And then we saw is it the 12?
Yeah, 12's out. There's a Cupriata, and then
there's another one out. Is it 11 or 13?
Yeah, 12 or 13. I can't remember.
I think there's two out right now.
Is it 10 and 11? Is that right?
I've seen a 12 out. So there was 10, 11, and now 12 is out. Okay.
Oh, cool. I mean, I like that process, though, because it's different villages, different releases, different varietal blends and stuff. It's actually a really interesting approach. Again, kind of academic, where you get to taste the different.
But like you brought up the Oaxaca Tepestate.
Yeah, the Tepestate.
And it is also very fun to taste side by side Tepestates or Araqueños or even Espadines and see what different people do with different, how they do it differently.
It's insanely different.
Yeah.
And it's in a sense like it's, you could say, varietal agnostic, because I've had stuff now that doesn't taste like what other things taste like. And in a sense, I could just go in blind and not even think about like hard aligning it to a varietal, because some Espadines taste so different if they're done in clay or copper. It's like, is it even really fair to just lump these together?
I think it's interesting because this came up. It may have been at that Mezcal Fest that I did.
Oh, at Tacoba, right?
At Tacoba.
How did that go, by the way?
It went well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was worried it was going to be a mess.
Yeah.
But the crowd was very respectful.
Sure. Cool. How many bottles were you slinging out there?
I just had the Illegal wine.
Oh, cool. Okay. Which is
in total there were probably around 25.
Oh, wow.
Different mezcals that were out there.
Cool. And you're working with Illegal now, which they've got the Joven and the Repo. Is that
They have a Joven Reposado and an Añejo.
Añejo as well. Añejo.
The Añejo is in both bourbon and French oak.
Okay, cool. How long do you know, roughly?
I know in total it's 13 months.
Gotcha.
But I don't know the ratio and how long it spends in each one.
Do you appreciate those nuances of barrel flavors with mezcal? I know some people are, myself included, frankly, that I love the young, untreated spirit. But how do you feel the flavor develops as it's aged like that?
I am typically a Joven drinker, and it's rare that you will find aged mezcal.
Yeah.
I think it's a different type of spirit. I think it's interesting, but it gets a lot of different notes. So that Añejo has a lot of cognac-like qualities to it, I think. So it's for a drinker who probably. So here's how I do it.
Yeah.
If someone comes up to me and I ask them, and I have those three products in front of me, and they're, what do you typically drink? What do you drink? Like, I drink, bourbons or whatever. Yeah. I will start them at the Añejo end, and bring them down, because invariably, if people's first experience with mezcal is a Joven, that's a shock. Can I be a shock to their palate? So if I bring them from the more woody, caramelly, baking spice notes, I bring them down and start to back them out, then their palate's prepared and they don't feel so shocked when they get to the Joven.
Yeah, that's a great point.
If they're tequila drinkers, then I go the other way.
Oh, fair
I
enough.
moved them from the Hoven up the other way.
Right. Interesting. You know, I always think that it's like seeing. So let's say you're really, really drunk and you're in a bar and it's darkly lit, and you're like, man, this person's really attractive. And you go up and you're like, everything's good, everything's good. And then Hoven is when the lights go on at 2 a.m.
You try to gnaw your arm off.
Wow,
Oh God,
shit! What was I thinking? Right, but I feel like I think there's this whole other strategy and this whole other art to using barrels to invoke flavor and stuff too.
Sure.
I think it's really, really interesting. And this is only just the beginning of that. There could because like you said, not a lot of mezcals that have a lot of barrel treatment to it.
right?
So when did you start? So there's been a little bit of a transition that's occurred with the Tipsy brand. And if you're at liberty to talk about it, David kind of transitioned to the Patron gig, and then you, who had been a part of it probably the whole time, you're like, now I'm doing it, right? So you are Tipsy now.
Well, he's always going to be Tipsy Texan. I mean, he's always going to be the Tipsy Texan.
Right. Because he drinks more than you.
The organization itself, it's me. So I have it now. And we have people that work, on a regular basis with us. And also just friends in the industry that, for depending on what the event is, they help.
What does Tipsy Texan mean to you now? Is it a consulting group? Is it an event coordinator? Is it a marketing regime? What exactly does it mean now? Because it's grown so much. Yeah.
It's been many things over the years. And actually, 2 months, for these 2 months leading up to the wedding, we kind of purposefully put most things on hold outside of the brand representation that we do.
Right.
We
Which
didn't
is the
take
day
on,
job, kind of, right?
Yeah, so we do Cooper Spirits, and we also have Whistle Pig.
Yeah, good.
And so we kind of put all the event things and not really taking out. We didn't take on any events or anything like that to give us a break. And now it's kind of in the period of it's trying to figure out what do we see it doing, down the road. Because with David over at Patron now, there are components of it that made sense when he was around, but they may not make sense now.
Yeah.
So we're working on those pieces, and really trying to find the best direction for it,
right?
And where it should focus.
Is there something that you ultimately see it becoming, or is it what it needs to be? Because sometimes there's that long, as some say, the long con.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, are you looking to turn into a brand itself that makes spirits?
I don't think we'll ever make spirits.
Yeah.
I don't. We've never really had that desire because it's kind of like we don't really make bitters.
Right.
Because there are people who make bitters probably better than we're ever going to make bitters.
Right. That's why that's why I won't make whiskey right now.
Sure.
Kentucky's got it all locked up, man.
Who does?
Kentucky.
Oh.
Of course. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. People, young whiskey brands, are like, oh, this is the best whiskey in the world or whatever. I'm like, well, sir.
Yeah.
There's some folks with about 200 years lead time on you, and they're doing a fine job. And I think that we should just relax and appreciate everything together. and
so diplomatic.
And simmer.
Man, the Texas whiskey thing, and let me say it so no one else is a bad guy, right? I don't care how much people stand behind Texas whiskey. It's Texas whiskey, and it has to have its own designation because it's simply not as good as whiskey, unfortunately. So in terms of bourbon itself, right? So I go back to bourbon because you talk about jazz, you talk about bourbon. These are our original contributions that America has made to the spirits industry or to art in general. Bourbon is something that somehow reflects the people so perfectly and reflects the terroir so perfectly that, goddamn, it's beautiful, right? No one outside of Kentucky has done an excellent job. Let's just say excellent, right? No one's got an A outside of Kentucky yet. Now, some solid C's and maybe a B minus. But do you think that's the 200 years of experience that's causing that difference? Or do you think people are just too eager to do something quickly?
That difference is, I mean, well, like you said, terroir for one thing.
Yeah. That limestone
water, all those things, that the climate, how the shifts in temperature and things play in the rick houses.
Much more moderately than
all
Texas
those things
does,
play into that spirit.
Yeah.
And I'm from Louisville.
Yeah.
So bourbon has always been in our house.
I'm sure that 2% of your blood is bourbon.
That probably is. As a baby, it was 2%. Bourbon was a cure-all. Yeah. Yeah, I am excited that we have people who are doing these things and making and trying to make these spirits. I'm really going to be interested to see the Treaty Oak Boys because theirs is in the barrel.
They always wanted to make whiskey.
We haven't seen anything. Yeah. I think Real Ale as well is trying
I didn't know that.
to get something going.
Very cool.
So it's going to be, I think we'll see more. A bourbon, a lot of people who seem to come into this, at least this is my experience, when we went to that first Tales of the Cocktail that we went to in, I think, 2007. A lot of people who were there with a vodka or a gin, they wanted to make bourbon.
Right.
But you need money because you make bourbon and it sits in a barrel for X number of years, depending on what you're doing. So a lot of these people went on to just make gin and vodkas because they needed cash flow.
How do you feel about that as a being someone that owns a distillery?
Yep.
I feel like let's make it a metaphor for relationships, for example. If you know the kind of woman, or rather the kind of person you want to marry, if you know the traits that they need to have, and you are willingly engaging and in a long-term relationship with someone that doesn't have the traits that you really want, you're just going to dump them and go to the thing you truly love. So to me, I feel like it's kind of a cop-out to go make something that's really second best. And I think it's been problematic that people have done that because you've pumped the market with a bunch of spirits that are like second best spirits. You know what I mean? And if everybody just held out for the funding and held out to put out the product that they dreamt of and the product that they were passionate about, I kind of feel like we would have elevated the spirits market more truly than we did.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's just something I feel like it's like, yeah, you can make a vodka and that's totally fine. If you're passionate about vodka, like Tito is, just fucking do it because you're gonna do a great job because passion resonates with people and there's no faking that these gins and these vodkas people are putting out. They're second thoughts, and it's one of the things that, sorry to go on this slight tirade, right?
No.
But it's something that's happening more and more that people aren't doing what they really want to do. They're settling so that they can eventually do the thing that they want to do. And I suppose there's something to that, but don't you think it would be a much higher standard in the industry if people just did the thing that they really wanted to do in the first place?
Well, sure. But I don't think that those opportunities are always there, like you're saying, in terms of wait for the funding and do those things.
Yeah.
Tito will tell you, don't get other people's money.
That's right. Yeah.
Use your own. Don't have partners and things like that. Try and do it all yourself if you can. And I think many entrepreneurs would probably tell you that if they've had one way or the other.
Right, right. Don't get the, I mean, I'm sure Chip would say that.
Maybe
getting
so,
other people involved, But I digress. I mean, I think because whiskey is such a sacred thing to the Americas, or bourbon
Chip Tate
especially.
era. I've seen that. This is blah, blah, blah from Chip Tate era.
Right.
Oh my God.
Come on. I've seen that stuff gray market now. Where it's like $250, true blue. I'm like, come, really?
Chip Tate era.
Chip Tate era.
I'm like, I have one of the skinny top bottles. What's that worth?
That is worth way more. But God, it's just the bourbon market in that sense is blown up.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So you're working with Ilegal, you're working with Whistle Pig. How's that 12 year? I haven't had a chance to try that yet.
I have only had it out once.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was
I
delightful.
heard it's really, really, really good.
It was delightful.
Yeah. Do you see, I think that with Hank kind of coming on board too.
Hank's your guy.
Yeah,
you want to try some of that 12 year?
Yeah, I know. I pinged him the other day like, hey, you got some of this? Like, everybody drank it all. But I think that things are going to go really well for those rye whiskeys, and I think that Ilegal is in a good spot too for the Mezcal,
Yeah, it's interesting. So in Cooper, we have Lock, Stock, and Barrel, which is a 13-year-old rye.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then a new one that's Hochstadter's. It's a vatted rye, so it's a blend.
Okay.
And it's 100 proof. And it's kind of interesting. It's funny, like I did a talk at Glazer, and I noticed when you first open that bottle, it's very tight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's super tight. So
So I think I understand what you mean, but try to
articulate that better.
Yeah, try to articulate that a little bit.
So I noticed when I first poured it out in a glass from a brand new bottle, and it was just hot. You got a lot of heat. It's 100 proof. It's going to be hot anyway, but a lot of spirits can hide that well.
Yeah.
And the flavors on the palate were a little harsh, in my opinion. And so I was like, I was very excited about it. I was like, oh, damn, this is not what I was expecting out of this bottle. And so I tried a couple cocktails with it. And so that kind of wheedled the bottle down. I left the glass sitting over there. And then I went back to the glass and it had opened up. So it had all these like really pretty floral notes, a lot of like rye bread.
Yeah.
What else was kind of in there?
I love kind of that dry spice too.
It does have some
intermingles
of that, like,
with the floral
those
stuff.
Baking spice, sort of dry spice stuff.
Yeah. And how old is this one again? So you're talking, it's 100 proof.
It's 100 proof. It's a blend of years.
Okay. Any like age statement about the youngest, or just
I think the youngest is. Well, I may misspeak here, but I think it's 4. I'm not 100% sure.
No, but that's good. I mean, that's good. It's a good color on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but I know, so I got a bottle, about a third out or more, and then went back to it, and it was quite different. So I was telling Glacier people, I was like, hey, I have an empty bottle. I split a bottle now. Yeah. So I just have 2 that have a lot of headspace, and it's beautiful.
It's crazy how that happens to a lot of those. And that is exactly what I thought you meant when you talk about the tightness. There's actually a lot. So I think Weller 12 is like that, actually. Yeah. That once I first get it, it's pretty tight, kind of acetonish, very, very alcoholic, fumy. But then you just kind of let it around and it develops that body that you love, the leather, the cherries, the darkness,
I thought that the Eagle Rare 101, the 10 101 was like that.
No kidding. Well, when did they last make that? Yeah, I know you have a bottle. I'm like, why is he holding out? Why is Joe holding out?
It's on the shelf, dude.
I know, dude, but still, it's a big shelf. If someone were to, perhaps this is an opportunity actually for Tipsy Texan to offer tours of a pretty, good market value price, and have people just kind of go through the shelf and like take half ounce here and there, and that'd be an amazing
We
thing.
used to do that with Tipsy Tech.
Oh, did you really? Just bring in stuff and have people kind of try it.
Well, we bring them to the house.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
We'd have like lab hours or office hours.
No shit.
Come to the house.
Well, the professors, right?
No.
Are you sure?
But
so did you? Actually, that begs the question: did you go to school for this stuff, or just fall into culinary arts, if you will?
No. I was a theater and English major.
Really?
Yes. And was going to be a teacher as well, but I couldn't stay in school that long. I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm not doing that.
High school, or did you do some college in Dallas?
This is college.
Yeah.
I went to college in Kansas.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah. And
but it was too daunting. It was just.
Well, I already had 2 majors, and I was going to tack on education. But that would have been 5 years. I was like, I got to get out of here. I can't do 5 years. So, no, it's just learning. Starting with that Dale DeGroff book and just going from there and learning and talking to people, and you interact with a lot of the brand ambassadors and things. You learn about the spirits and just doing your own research.
There is an element that is centered around drama, though, isn't there?
I guess.
Performance.
I like that personal interaction. That job that I have, my day job.
Yeah.
It's not like that. So, we kept doing the farmer's market for a long time. We sold coffee at the farmer's market. And I enjoyed doing that because it was that one-on-one interaction and telling people about the product and, getting them engaged and all the nuances of the different beans and things. And that was really exciting to me. And the spirits world is very much that same way, and getting to really know and love a spirit and be able to talk to people about it and engage them.
Yeah.
And it's fun to talk to someone who is, very educated like yourself or Hank, who in the space, but it's also equally fun to talk to a person who, it's almost more fun to just really explain to like someone the things that you know about a product or what have you, and help someone start to go down the same kind of rabbit hole.
Well, it's nice to see their eyes perk up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, really?
Like, do you notice this flavors and that and da da da? Sometimes you're tricking their palate a little bit when you. I try and ask them first, like what they're getting. A lot of times they don't have the words.
Because the power of suggestion is really, really
of course,
powerful.
Yeah. You taste those baked apples, don't you? I do taste the baked apple.
Yeah, baked apple. Oh, now that you say it, actually, it's more like a pear. No, it is more like a pear.
Yeah.
It's. So are the classes going to resume anytime soon? Or are you guys?
That's one of the things trying to figure out. Yeah, what's that going to look like? Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thing. I think that I've met so many people that were connected with you guys because of those classes.
Mm-hmm.
It was
a lot of people.
Very life-changing for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Sometimes people don't, and I want to approach this delicately, but sometimes people don't understand their influence on other people. And it seems like not only in an emotional way and being a nice core of positivity like you and David, your love, your relationship, and how that exudes and really encourages other people to be themselves and in love, right? All these things.
Yeah.
But you guys have influenced a lot of people, a lot of what we could say are all-stars in this industry. And you're not going to stop, right?
Well, I don't think we seek to influence necessarily.
I know. That's why you do. Because you're not trying to.
Yeah.
You are yourselves, you know?
Yeah. We just love it. You know, we're passionate about these things.
Yeah. Well, it's really been wonderful. I haven't known you guys all that long, and actually, I'll share the first time that, you know what? I'll put it this way: I'm good at peacocking, and apparently David was good at it too, and we both like butted heads amazingly. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's wonderful to see how soft you both are, but how intelligent and insightful, and I really thank you for what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thanks for talking with me, Joe.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
Well, there we go. What do you guys think? Joe's a real great guy. He's easy to talk to. He's very warm. He loves karaoke, seemingly more than I do, which is a great feat in itself. And I can't wait to see what Tipsy Texan does here in the upcoming months. I think we're going to see some wonderful things from them. And for me, the real takeaway from this conversation is that this year at the USBG holiday party, Joe and I have to sing a karaoke duet. You guys pick what it's going to be. I'm kind of open to whatever, right? Maybe some extreme. I don't know. But at any rate, thank you everybody for listening to Show to V. I'm Mike G. And no matter what you do, karaokeing or not, keep dancing.